I would like to officially call my last board meeting to order at 7 p.m. Yes. Good evening, everyone. Glad you could make it with us here this evening. Those who are streaming the meeting as well, good evening to you. And some of you maybe have come back from the Blue Ridge Connect that we had just this evening over at the Bellflower Community Building. And that was a great time of people gathering in honor and memory of Janice Harden and all the years that she served the school here. And very touching tribute with the music and sharing from individuals for that. So I wish we had that taped. But thank you for those who attended, and we hope that you'll enjoy this evening as well. We also have a special guest with us here this evening. You're going to hear from him a little bit. Is Patrick Allen. If you would just raise your hand there real quick. Patrick Allen is actually the field service director for the Abe Lincoln Division for the Illinois Association of School Boards. He's going to be here this evening to recognize the school board, but he has had a lot to do with that recognition. He gives a lot of training to school board members throughout his division and helps us to be a better school board for this district, and we appreciate that, Patrick. Welcome here this evening. So I don't think we had anything as far as anyone wanting to say anything. So we're going to move on with the recognition. Are we going to do Patrick first? Okay, hey, well, Patrick, I've introduced you already. You might as well come forward, huh? Is there a microphone there for him? You might have to turn that on. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, good to see everyone again. The Illinois Association of School Boards congratulates school boards that have engaged in activities and modeled behaviors and practices that lead to excellence in school board governance in support of quality public education. It's my pleasure to recognize Blue Ridge CUSD 18 Board of Education as recipients of the School Board Governance Recognition.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Oh, okay. All right, school board members, please line up.
Okay, squeeze together. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Got it, thank you. Perfect.
Did it break?
No.
All right, we have a lot of visitors here this evening, and a special reason for that. As we've done this whole school year, we like to always recognize not only our students, but our exceptional staff members that we have here at the Blue Ridge District. And we have several of the staff here, and I would like to call your name if you'd come forward and we can recognize you. It would be from the Schneider Elementary School. It would be Cheyenne Clayton. From the Blue Ridge Intermediate Junior High School, we have Kelly Soliday. And from the Blue Ridge High School, we have Sarah Ringo. Thank you for your hard work. Now, we have a lot of kids here with us this evening. I don't usually massacre the pronunciations. I can blame it on Mr. Payton's handwriting tonight because our script is a little off script, so bear with me on that. We'll start with the older kids and taller ones, hopefully. You come up when I call your name. From the Blue Ridge High School is Ellie Schleeper, and she is at softball, and so she won't be here, but let's give her a round of applause. Lauren Granning. We also have, from the 8th graders, we have Elias Nolan, but he's at track this evening, so let's give him a shout out. 7th grade, Thomas Vanderspool. Sixth grade, we have Sebastian Cox. 5th grade, Addison Dotson. 4th grade, we have Susie Ellis. 3rd grade, we have Casey Leonard. 2nd grade, Ann Klein. 1st grade, Ronald Harden. And kindergarten, we have Mila Rick. Stay up here for your picture. And while they're getting their picture taken, just want to remind the parents and everyone to please read your monthly superintendent newsletters. It really gives a good description of how exceptional these students really are and what they have achieved and why they were chosen by their peers. We also have a presentation from our school resource officer that's here tonight, Jacob King. Would you come at this moment, please?
Hello, everybody. I'm Officer King. Most of you know me. However, I don't know a lot of you. School resource officer, obviously. Love it. So before you, you'll see a PowerPoint presentation. It's a Juvenile Justice Online program. It's a demonstration that I'm going to give to you guys, as well as this is what I present to the families as well. Stopping the pipeline to prison, a live demonstration. This is basically just going into the Juvenile Justice Online. A little bit about myself. Obviously, I'm with the Farmer City Police Department. Been doing this for about, patrolman about 8 years, school resource officer for 2, juvenile officer for less than 2. I was getting yelled at in the back because I didn't have it up next to my mouth. Internet crimes against children, child exploitation task member, less than a year. This is actually whenever I learned about this course. And then Illinois Army National Guard for 15. All right, so one of these gentlemen is Detective Richard Wistowski. Along with butchering names, I do the same thing. He's one of the co-founders for this, as well as James Natali. Both of them have over 30 years of experience. A lot of them have cybersecurity as well. The foundation of the diversion station adjustment is, so it's been used all across the United States. There's currently over 4,200 diversion agents. Some of these slides have not been updated, but however, you know, it currently represents the amount of states that are using them. So as you'll see right here, I hate talking in the mic, so bear with me here. So this right here, this bottom one, this is the Blue Ridge High School, okay? This is the nicotine vape THC and cannabis statistics that we've had since I've been here, since Mr. Easter has been went back and kind of kept tabs for me, all right? So in 2021, our nicotine vapes was 4. In 2022, we had 7. THC, we had 4. And then in 2023, we've had 7 thus far. I'm sure that we've had at least another one since then. THC, we've had 2, and then we've also had 1 cannabis. All right, so with that being said, so this program is kind of intermingled into the law enforcement side of everything. So the Farmer City, just a second, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So if you look here, this is the 2016, 2017. This is what they have used throughout their process. So you see the green there, that's the closed, no further contact. The educated is the 11%, and then the further crimes committed is the 6%. So the overall performance of this is to kind of detour these students, these juveniles, these teens, preteens from being in the system, the criminal system. All right, so this is pretty small, but I'll just kind of go over the meat and potatoes of everything. So this system, it costs $65, okay? So that $65 is a contract, all right? What that means is that, so we'll say Mr. Easter and I sit down, he has a student that comes in, they got caught vaping, okay? Contacts parents, this Farmer City ordinance, I can do a city ordinance fine of $100 for each incident that occurs, all right? With that being said, the $65 that would go towards, the reason it's the diversion program is because in lieu of issuing that $100 city ordinance citation, they would pay that, the parents would pay that $65. Okay, if they complete that, and it can be any time frame that we want. It can be anywhere from 15 to 60 days. All right, so consider it as parole, if you will, where the parent and I would sit down. We would do we would go through the contract together. So in this system, they have videos for vaping. They've got videos for sexting. They've got videos for harassment. There's I think 7 total videos that they actually incorporate into this system. After each subject is tasked off, and the parents agree, me and the parents agree, the student will come in, and then that's whenever they will sign that contract. So right now, and the reason I threw in, you'll see down at the bottom, the possession of cannabis and alternative THC products by minors prohibited. Possession of alcohol by minors prohibited as well. That is because we had an instance about a month ago where a student decided that he wanted to smoke cannabis in the bathroom. And in lieu of creating a civil citation, that going on their record, trying to create a diversion program for a student like that in hopes that it kind of deviates him back to a regular course. So this just kind of goes through the setup of everything. Obviously, that's my information. So here are these videos that I was talking about. So you got cyberbullying, keeping you safe on devices and social networks, sexting is not worth the risk, the truth about vaping, and truancy, I don't want to be truant. All right, so obviously truancy is a pretty big issue too, which is also another city ordinance that we can incorporate into this as well. Here's a short clip. You guys are not going to be able to hear it all. Unfortunately, it's just the PowerPoint presentation. And then here's another sample of the truth about vaping. There's a little spiel. Oh, you can actually hear this one.
Instead of giving you tickets, they want to educate you on the dangers of
we'll go ahead and skip past that. That was just a real quick snippet of one of the videos that they have in there for the students. So here's the little circle of life for juvenile justice online. So the student receives an email, or sorry, hang on, give me just a second here. All right, so the case begins here, all right? It gets assigned, goes to the primary parent. So that's whenever the parent and I would sit down, we would have this conversation, and we would start generating that contract if that's something that they want to do. Basically, what it turns into is the parent is actually the one that is creating this contract. Okay, so I implement, say, we catch somebody vaping. We go through this, and I say, okay, look, my criteria is I want a 500-page paper of the effects of vaping on teenagers. And then another stipulation in that is that I want you to complete this video. And then each stipulation that's on there that I recommend, the parents have to go through that, and they have to agree with that. Now, where it comes into play is whenever the parent, if they're having problems at home, they're having problems with them not listening, they're cussing all the time, they're not cleaning their room, their hygiene, whatever the case may be, the parents can actually implement that onto this contract. And if they don't adhere to that contract, then ultimately they break the contract, the civil citation goes forward, so on and so forth, okay? And then it goes into the parent, and then the student will receive the email, and then once it's completed, it goes back to me, and I can keep tabs on everything that's going on. So here's just an example of the contract. And then you go on here, a parent can go in there, they review the details of the contract, the registration portion, they're approving it. This is how much the fee is. The fee is, like I said, $65. Otherwise, it's like $5,000 for an annual fee. And so they just kind of freaked out there, not sure what's going on, but that's all right. So anyway, case closed. Do you guys have any questions? I mean, is there anything that I can clarify on that maybe I kind of stumbled upon?
Is this something that you would meet possibly the parents here at the school or at the police station, or where would that meeting be at?
So this would be something that the police department would implement. However, it would be done here at the school in-house. Because ultimately, say I use Mr. Easter because this is where most of our events take place, Mr. Easter's going to contact that parent anyway. And at some point, that parent's going to end up coming here. I mean, I don't have a problem doing it at the police department, but I think it'd be better if we did it here at the school in a better environment for that student. But it's an option.
So the diversion program places a citation. What about repeat offenders?
So the repeat offenders is a different story. I mean, if they've tried the diversion program and it didn't work for them, we can give it another go. But chances are the parent's not going to want to, throw away another $65 because if they break that contract, in that contract, it's going to state that civil citation, or not the civil citation, excuse me, the city ordinance is actually going to go through, and it's going to be, they're going to owe that on top of the $65. The $65 is non-refundable. That's to prepare the contract and everything like that. And then if they complete that contract, the city ordinance citation, it just goes away. It never happened. But on the repeat offender, the amount would end up going up ultimately. And like I said, we can charge specifically for nicotine, we can charge up to $100.
Okay.
Are you planning on or already enforcing the city ordinance right now?
No. So that was one of the things that we came together and talked about. We're going to start implementing that this next school year.
So that'd be very clearly noted in all the student doctrinations.
Right,
meetings.
that has to be noted in handbooks, and also, because we know handbooks are signed off on, but they're not read all the time, then that's something that's going to be brought to the attention of students when at both of the upper buildings on one of the very first days of school, so they understand. It was important for us as an admin team to understand that there's a difference between the school consequence and then there's the legal consequence, and we're going to stay in our own lanes.
So one of the prime examples that I have is, with the last scenario where the student had alcohol and cannabis and a vape. So obviously I gave the student a civil citation for the cannabis. And then he also got a citation for possession of alcohol by a minor under the age of 21. It was opened, it was in his bag, it was here at school. We're trying, my ultimate goal whenever I took this on was like, man, I love kids. But after going to multiple juvenile courses, it's something that I've, over this past year, well, last 2 years, trying to create a better rapport between students and police officers. You can see how they interacted with me in here. Like that's the kind of person that I am. And I think that guiding these students, especially the ones that are in high school, that they're getting to that age where once they get out of high school, they're pretty much done. Once they turn 18 years old, they fall into the system. So if we're able to deter them or deviate them and get them back on track, I would rather do that and consider that a success than to see them fail.
Questions for him?
You said something about a $5,000 fee. Okay.
I was just throwing that out there because so the actual annual fee is $5,000. We don't have that many. So
Okay.
the 60.
So
the
we would do just
65
we would
Per
do like a
student.
one-time base, like on a per use basis.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the per use basis is more geared towards our small community as opposed to, going through and doing the 5,000. Yeah.
All right. Appreciate your coming here this evening, Officer King. Moving forward with our communications. Oh, I'm sorry, yes. So we did have a late arriver. Elias ran all the way here. Elias Nolan, you're here. We want to recognize you for being an exceptional student as well. If you would come up and get your certificate. We want to get a picture too, Paige, or someone? You say, thanks, Mom. All right. All right, on to communications.
All right, that would be me. Okay, so we had a few emails. Again, I've asked to be off the mailing list for those names that are hard to pronounce, Splogaf and Momphil, not asking for anything of interest. Smart Procure, once again, a FOIA request. That was for purchasing records. That's a routine thing nowadays. Data Research Partner was a FOIA request asking for staff names and positions, all public knowledge. Local Labs, also with a FOIA request. They wanted, this is a new one for me, our current mission statement and past mission statements. So those were all filled in the proper time frame.
And committee reports.
No committee reports, but I do want to note that we have a facilities committee meeting on May 10th at 6 p.m. I also want to note that when we seat the new board on May 1st, we'll be figuring out who the facility committee is. So for those who might be on the facilities committee, it will be a May 10th, 6 p.m. meeting.
All right, administrative, you're up again.
Okay, that's me. Superintendent report. Elections, again, I'll repeat. I said this at Blue Ridge Connect tonight, that our election is not certified yet. DeWitt County and McLean County are done, but Piatt County is not. So we are still unofficial. Unofficially, David Sig Enger has joined the board. Rusty has come back, and Jonathan Yeagle has joined. But again, that is unofficial. We do have a 2-year open spot. When we seat board members on May 1st, we will be deciding how to fill that last appointed position. I noted in my report that we had an issue with our February dates on our school calendar, a difference between Lincoln's birthday and President's Day. So I'm going to ask you to approve a revised 23-24 calendar and the consent agenda. And when we do so, of course, we'll publicize that as a revised calendar going out. We are in the process this week of intruder drills. Mr. Huddleston started the way with his intruder drill, and we yet have Snyder and the high school to go tomorrow and Friday. And let's see, we have spring school here at the high school underway for 9th grade ELA students, and we have summer school for K through 8 and 9th grade math upcoming. And that is my report. I do have, Douglas, please, if we could go to the BACC screen. Not sure if I can get there, which one it is. We have a BACC update that all districts within that work with the Bloomington Area Career Center are giving during the month of April to their boards. We want to bring you something about something called the Heat Academy. The Heat Academy is something that is in some planning stages right now, trying to open more doors for more students. And let's see if we can go all the way back up to the top. We have a short video for you. So you saw in the video that they're asking about how can we train our today's students to be ready for the workforce. I think BACC is already doing a very fine job at training our students to be ready for the workforce. Now they're looking for, so what else can we do? What are other things that we can do to get our students ready for the workforce? How can we feed into the workforce as much as possible? And give me a moment to get back up to the top. So we're looking at the 4 different areas that in McLean County are the most vital: healthcare, engineering, agribusiness, and technology. That's our area of focus because those are the areas that are most important in that community. So the HEAT Academy, using that acronym, is going to be created to provide an innovative educational experience, foster growth in the McLean County students and the community. We want to provide authentic learning experiences. Pardon me while this little elevator wants to continue to cause a problem. Bloomington Area Career Center right now provides programming in 16 different career areas. 33% of the enrolled students engage in healthcare. 58 hours of dual credit is offered, 3 community colleges, and we're saving families over $300,000 in college tuition costs. 65% of the BACC kids enroll in college following their time at BACC. Some effective models that we're following and studying right now: there's an innovation center at St. Vrain Valley Schools. They're also looking at, I don't know why I have to keep playing this game here. They're also looking at some mobile lab ideas. Could we possibly have something like this that would work in our area, a creative next step? So our challenge right now is to think of what other partnerships are we not accessing that perhaps we could be looking at. What about economic efficiencies? Everybody's looking for additional workers to come into the field. How could we take advantage of that? Equity of economic opportunities. We know that there's a teacher shortage. Could we be accessing other teachers from the field to come into our BACC community and add to what we have? Increase our student engagement. What challenges do we have to overcome for our program to increase? We might need to have a bigger space, so we need to look at different property possibilities. History, lack of imagination might be holding us back right now. We have a 3-year plan going. The first year is this year. We're doing they have a cybersecurity program right now that's running on the weekends. It's a Saturday program through BACC. A little bit hard for some of our Blue Ridge students to be involved in that because of transportation, but that's a successful thing for some that are a little bit closer to the McLean County hub. There's a Heat Academy Initiative work team. I meet with them about on a monthly or 6-week basis, and we're looking at some different recommendations from the area of how we could move forward. Next year, we're looking at launching a first phase pathway of technology and engineering, looking at other ways to expand the campus that we have right now, and by 24-25, they're hoping to launch the final phase of tech and engineering and implementing the embedded heat model on the BACC campus sites, and getting further into healthcare and agribusiness. So the best thing I can say about the Heat Academy, and they're still working on, do we even want heat to be in the name, or is that just more confusing? The best description I've heard is that basically this is BACC supersized. How can we continue to make it bigger and better to involve more students for more engagement with our community? So, does anybody have any questions about the BACC update? Alrighty, thank you. We have 8 actively going right now. We've had 2 that have been inducted into the Honor Society at BACC, and I believe we have 8 enrolled for next year. And by the way, they're keeping the tuition rate the same for next year, which is nice.
So that's an honor to be in the society because I know that there's a lot of students attending there.
Mm-hmm. Probably 800 some.
Yes, that's a privilege and an honor for our students to be recognized. And that's
Yeah, they currently have an enrollment of over 900 for next year and a wait list of over 200. Yeah. Quarterly financial report is next, so I'll go into that. If you have that document in front of you, kind of walking through how it's used again, you'll see up in the top left corner, this is updated on April 1st, no fooling. We're through 75% of our fiscal year. And if you look in column D in green, that's our audited fund balance at the beginning of our fiscal year, or the very end, 6/30/2022. So those are our audited starting numbers with our fund balances. You can see all the way down at the bottom in D29, that cell shows us that we have a total in our fund balances of $8.7 million. The approved revenues in column E, that's going to show you the budget numbers that you approve for revenue. And down at the very bottom, we anticipated, and we underestimate a little bit, we anticipated $12 million coming in for our revenue. Then you look in column F, which has red and yellow in it. That's what's actually come in to date. That's 75% again through the year. So what I do is I look first at column G to find out, well, are we at 75% or more of our revenue coming in? If you look at the operating funds up on the top, you'll see that everything is at 75% or higher, so we're doing well collecting our revenue. If you go down to the bottom, the closed funds, you'll see one fund kind of sticks out to you a little bit. You know which one I'm looking at? That was a quiz question. Fund 60, site and construction, you see where in column G, only 35% of that money has come in. That would be something that I would look at. That percentage is low right now. We were anticipating the school maintenance grant money to go into that fund. That grant has been approved, the money has come in, but as of the end of March or the very first day of April, it hadn't been put in that fund yet. When it goes into that fund, that will raise from 35% to 90%, so all is okay. When you go into column H in green, those are the expenditures that you approved in the budget back in September. Again, if you look at the very bottom of the column, it says 12.6. That's what we overestimate our expenditures, so we thought we would spend 12.6 million this year. If you look in column I, which is in yellow, you'll see what we've spent so far. Again, we're hoping not to exceed the 75% mark. If you look in column J, that's where I look. I'm looking at the top in the open funds to see that nothing has hit the 75% mark. We're getting close in which fund? Yep, the ed fund. And so I look at that. We added some unit office staff right there, our accounts payable coordinator and our bookkeeping trainer right there. We didn't know about that when we did our budget. So that's getting a little bit close. My eyes are going to be on that in the next 10 days or so before we have our next meeting, because I have to decide if we have to amend our budget. If we go $1 over what we said that we were going to spend in Fund 10 or any fund, then we have to amend our budget. So I'm watching that very closely. If you go down below in column J, looking at that 75% marker as we go across, but these are all kind of different. You have to look at them individually. So in the bond and interest, Fund 30, we're at a high mark right there at 84%, but bond and interest only comes out a couple times per year, and we're absolutely fine. We know when those payments are made, and we're okay. You look down at Fund 50, we're at 68%. Those come out regularly throughout the year. We're doing fine. Site and construction, Fund 60, most of that was set aside to finish the bus office, and we're sitting at a fine percentage at 72. Tort Fund 80, we're at 86%, so that's higher than what we would want to see, but the reason is because that's where you pay your insurance payment, and that's due at the very beginning of the fiscal year, and so that's why that's sitting high right now. But again, I'll be watching that in the next 10 days. Talking with the bookkeeper about that. Health, life, safety, that's really low, right? That was a big gamble to know what we would spend because we were waiting for our health, life, safety things to be approved. We didn't know what time of year that would happen and if we would spend any of that money before the fiscal year ended. So that's probably going to stay pretty low, and that's okay. That money will be sitting there when we are ready to do those projects. So we are in good shape as it sits right now. Anybody have any questions there?
For Patrick, this is for you. This is a tool that we had requested as a board several years back to kind of dummy down for us that don't have all the financial wizardry and everything, figuring out exactly what are the numbers that we really need to be paying attention to in the percentages. So that's something you may want to even share or get a copy of and share for other districts who have a confusion as far as following along the financial parts of the districts.
All right, and then I have one more thing to talk about, which would be the financial projections. This is kind of the fun part. So we have a wind farm that is up and running, and it started at the beginning of January of 23, and that project is in McLean County, which is part of that farm is in our territory. That's called Sapphire Sky. And so my recent contact with McLean County Clerk's office said that we can anticipate a $39 million increase in our EAV when we write the tax levy in 2023. When a tax levy is written in 2023, that means it impacts the FY25 budget. So when we write the budget, when we write the budget for 23-24, so that's going to happen very soon, our next school year is not going to be impacted by wind farm money. We do have ESSER money that is in our pockets for one more year. We're running down on that. And then one more year out, 24-25, is when that wind farm money starts to come in. So if somebody wrote the book and tried to plan it as like ideal as it possibly could be, I don't think they could have made it any better than what we have. So that's very helpful. Working with the financial coach, working with Steve Adams, working with fellow superintendents who have had wind farm experience, the best situation that I've been advised at this point is we have our HLS, our 10-year health, life, safety surveys that have been approved. When all of that has been put into the ISB system and approved, the numbers are a little bit higher than what they first were given to me. They're at 3.1 million instead of 2.5 million. So it's going to take just over $3 million to do all the work that they had talked about across all three of our buildings, okay, over the next 10 years. Then, what has everybody in the community been waiting for? We've been waiting for an all-weather track, right? That was supposed to be a community fundraising project that's been talked about since before COVID. That was put on the table because of COVID. Well, the wind farm is going to be able to be an answer for that track. So what the recommendation has been is that we go out for HLS bonds for $3.1 million. We go out for working cash bonds for the amount that the track would cost. I'm working on finding out what that number is. Back years ago before COVID, it was 1.1. My guess is it's going to be well over $2 million at this point. But we do kind of a package deal and do this bond issue for both things, working cash and HLS, like a needs and a wants, all at the same time. And because our EAV is going up so high, it's highly likely that we are going to be able to keep the overall tax rate the same, but yet bring in more money, which will be able to pay for the increased debt that will be caused by the issuing of the HLS and the working cash bonds. Because it takes a while to process all that, I'm going to explain it in a different way. So what the EAV does is it's given to you in a dollar amount. So our EAV in this district has been teetering between high 170 million and low 180 million. That number is going to go up by 39 million. It'll increase because we have good farmland, but it'll go up by another 39 million because of the turbines, okay? We take that number and we multiply it by our tax rate. Let's say we keep that tax rate the same. That's our goal because we don't want to have a bigger burden to our taxpayers. But if we start with a bigger number and we multiply it by the same rate, we're going to get a bigger answer. And that's the money that comes into the district. So that bigger amount of money that we get to work with is the reason why we can take on that increased debt. That's going to cover the bond payment that we have for HLS. That's going to cover the bond payment that we have for the track. So we're sitting in a very ideal situation right now with the timing of HLS, the timing of the wind farm, the possibility of a track, all within the next 2 to 3 years. So that's kind of the fun conversation.
Pritzker has his way and we're looking at possibly another wind farm coming into Piatt County, whether they want it or not, and that would actually be more increase as well.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions? All right, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ryan, you've been anticipated and excited about coming up to share.
Okay, I'm just going to cover a couple of topics tonight. Number one, we have completed all of our IAR testing, the Illinois Assessment of Readiness. We only do one grade level in our building. We are at the beginning of the testing in district with our third graders. We did 3 math assessments and 2 ELA assessments over a 3-day period. We did have a few that were absent, so I've been doing some makeup testing the last couple of days this week to make sure that everybody is completed and we've got 100% of our testers done. I wanted to thank the students for all their hard work and preparation, our third grade teachers and special educators who have been providing that instruction all year, and also just prepping for that assessment, learning a new platform, that TestNav that they take the assessment on is a computer-based platform, so we go through the very beginning of how to log in, use different tools that are utilized with that testing platform, and so the teacher have done a great job of modeling that, preparing them. And then thank you to Mrs. Weedman. She comes over and assists with technology and unlocking the platform and just any type of situations that do occur that time with the testing platform or internet. She was here on those days to assist and make sure that things went as smoothly as possible, so we appreciate all the work that she does. I also wanted to talk about our open house. Seems like forever, it was just last week, but I think it was Thursday. It was an awesome evening. So we were able to have parents come in to visit classrooms, see student work displayed, see different projects that have been created throughout the school year, and just visit classrooms. We had a book fair. Miss Beeman and Miss McCoy did a wonderful job putting that on. Mrs. Russell helped with the cash register and making sure that things were going as smoothly as possible. And that was Miss Beeman's, I think, second ever book fair, and she did an awesome job getting that up and running. And we're already planning for next school year, and we already have a fall book a fair date set, and also looking at what type of activities that we can, connect it with, so that way we can try to promote some of the programs that are happening in our building at the same time as getting parents in to enjoy that evening. And then last but not least, part of that book fair and open house, we had a community fair. And so we were able to have 15 different community organizations that were here in the library or outside. The police department came, Officer King had a car outside, the fire department came and was able to have their truck. Transportation came with the bus. And it was just a great way to kind of highlight some of those organizations that are in our community that people get to experience and utilize. So, any questions for me?
No.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Ert?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I just wanted to share a couple of exciting things happening at Intermediate Junior High School. We've got a couple of traditions making their way back here. One that happened on April 10th. Mrs. Yeagle, along with her 7th grade ELA students, put on a historical museum where they featured many different aspects that you might find in a museum, and they coincided with some work with one of the museums, I believe it was the Spurlock Museum there on U of I's campus, where people could come around and learn about historical figures, events, including some influential women throughout history and a variety of other topics. It was a great turnout for families, as we had over 60 families attend that evening, or 60 people attend that evening. Additionally, Mrs. Yeagle is helping put on a spring play at the Intermediate Junior High School. That will take place on May 5th and May 7th, so it'll be a Friday night and then a Sunday matinee. I'm super excited to see there. It is called Night at the Wax Museum. So I'm pretty excited to see, and the kids have been working super hard on it. And to wrap things up, I wanted to talk to you about the IAR testing, and ISA testing, so Illinois Assessment of Readiness and Illinois Science Assessment. We test at every grade for IAR in our building. So I remember, if you remember from last month's, we did the junior high students with their IAR testing before spring break and decided to do our 4th through 6th after spring break, just to kind of break things up a little bit, try something different. We were doing one a day. We had a little bit of a technology snafu one day last week, so we ended up finishing up Monday. And thanks to really hard work by the staff, we have almost all of our makeup tests completed at this point. They've worked super hard, and so we're excited to see how, when these results come in, it'll give us a chance to really look at growth and also allow us to kind of look at our instructional practices, our Tier 1 curriculum, and see areas that we need to continue to improve and make better. Any questions?
Thank you for the report. And Brian.
All right, it must be testing season, because that seems to be what everybody's talking about. We have had our share of that at the high school as well. It's more about our students and staff have had to endure a whole lot of modified schedules over the past couple of weeks and moving forward. Last week, Wednesday, was statewide testing day, so all of our juniors were taking the SAT. And so they were all set up in Moore Gym doing the SAT. Our freshman and sophomore students were in classrooms throughout the building taking the PSAT, practice SAT, to prepare them for when they're juniors, when it really counts. And the seniors got the day off. Also, let's see, Friday, then we had Growing Strong come in and give some presentations to different classes about some different mental health and safety issues. And we also were chosen as a school randomly by ISB as a school to be to give a Illinois Youth Risk Behavior Survey. I worked with an outside organization to just randomly select 3 classes for that. Ended up being a health class and a couple of PE classes. Every kid participated, and basically it's a completely anonymous survey collected throughout the state, and they look at what kind of things are kids doing. Some of what Officer King was talking about with the vaping and the drugs and things like that. It's just open and honest questions for kids, and they, completely anonymous, and then they'll compile a report and share it with us at the end of the year. It helps ISB know what kind of things they should target in educating kids about dangers of different activities. So yeah, we had that. We had the Illinois Science Assessment today. This morning, our juniors were taking that. And then we had a guest speaker this afternoon, so everybody was in the gym for an assembly from 1:30 to 2:30. This was paid for by First National Bank and Trust. They brought in a gal named Tasha Shu. She gave an incredibly inspirational message about overcoming adversity and having hope and recognizing there's a purpose for your life and trying to recognize that and see who your support group is, you know, in your circle. And I mean, there were teachers in tears, there were kids in tears. It was our kids did really great. So yeah, modified schedule today. It was crazy. Next Wednesday we have testing going on for any kid interested in Parkland College. But that includes our juniors who are going to be doing the dual credit classes next year. So we're doing the testing here at school for those kids, so they don't have to go to Parkland to do it. And then they'll find out if they qualify for the dual credit classes or not. And then the seniors that want to go to Parkland, they have that opportunity to do the tests here as well. So again, they don't have to go to Parkland to do the pre-assessment stuff. So yeah, I think that's it. There's a lot going on. And yeah, and then for those of you that like to attend promenade and prom and post-prom and things like that, that's all moved up 1 hour this year. So the site that we did prom at last year, Epiphany Farms, they have a noise ordinance that says we can't have music playing past 10 o'clock. So everything got moved up an hour. So if you're used to coming to promenade at 5, you'll miss it because it starts at 4 this year. So, and that means if you want to come to post-prom, we're done at 1:30. So volunteers, anyone?
Graduation?
Gotcha, Dale. Oh,
No.
gosh, yeah, what is that, the 21st? It's the third Sunday in May. Yes, 21st, 2 o'clock.
All right.
I gave you the paper last week, don't you remember, or last
Just-
month? Okay.
Testing you.
Yes, testing me, thank you. That's so far away, Dale. You got to get through prom first. All right, questions?
Thank you. Thank you
All
very
right, thank you.
much. Paige, curriculum?
I know. They always steal my thunder, so I am not going to talk about any testing. My board report was a little lengthy, but I did want to just mention something that I forgot to mention. Last month, when we had our family literacy night, I just wanted to do a shout out to our Blue Ridge Intermediate and Junior High boosters, as well as our Junior High Student Council. So many times we have book fairs and not all of our students can participate in purchasing a book, and it's kind of disheartening seeing, you know, classmates go through and then you have some students who can't afford to purchase. And so we went to both those organizations and asked them if they would be willing to donate money so that each 4th through 8th grade student was able to purchase a book up to a $10.99 value. And it was really exciting that day when they passed out those books, just seeing how proud they were that, you know, this was their book and they got to choose. So I just wanted to thank them. I know that, you know, anytime you buy a box of Fannie Mae and you wonder, oh, one more fundraiser, but they do really great things with the money. So I just want to encourage you. I know the Booster Club is having a chicken dinner fundraiser, I believe at the end of the month, maybe the 29th, where you can, 30th, make sure that's online, the 30th, where you can purchase a ticket and go through, I believe, the Snyder Circle Drive and pick up a dinner to go. And they do really great things like provide books to our students. So with that being said, do you have any questions about my report?
I don't think so. Thank you very much.
I'll add to that Mrs. Beeman, our librarian, wanted to make sure that all Snyder kids would also be able to get a book. And so PIE and BREF donated, and every Snyder student was able to get a book this year as well.
All right.
Yep.
That's great. Great. You've had a chance in your board book to read the technology, the O&M, transportation, food services report. By the way, if you weren't at Blue Ridge Connect, you missed a nice little sandwich and dessert from Tanya and the team. Appreciate that. Hey, Tanya and the team. All right. TNT. We're moving forward to approval of the consent items. We have a motion, a second, to approve the consent agenda items listed, and attachment A is presented. Chelsea? All right. Yes. Moving on to old business, and by the way, just have you know that I'm getting fitted for hearing aids this Friday. Yeah. Finally, after I won't need them. That's right. Yeah. I can't hear good, and so they have to repeat their names when they make motions in seconds and all that stuff. So, it is actually my right ear.
Just all the female side.
They said my vowels are good, my consonants are bad, so maybe that the females are all consonant levels. I don't know. But anyway, old business.
Old business, here we go. So we found out after you approved credit card for the FFA advisor that they needed the detail of the limit, the dollar limit on that recommendation. So if you would be able to approve the $5,000 limit, which is what all the other card carriers for the district have, that would be appreciated. And then we have to wait till next month when the minutes are approved to be able to get that card to go through.
Any questions? Otherwise, I need a motion, a second, to approve $5,000 credit limit on the district credit card for the Blue Ridge School District 18 FFA advisor, Jacqueline Meisner, as presented. Rusty. Jason. Yes. New business. Approval of the natural gas contracts.
Okay, natural gas contract. You're going to see in front of you printed an email about natural gas pricing, update on 4/19. This came from Chris Landstrom. Blue Ridge has worked with Chris at Twin City Energy for quite some time, and what he does is he's given me multiple updates for the last couple weeks to talk about the energy, Nicor gas here in Farmer City, and then also Ameren in Mansfield. He would like for us, he is recommending that we make a decision tonight if we want to sign for natural gas for 24 or 36 months. And then when I give him your decision in the morning, then he will go with whichever company is giving the best rate at that time. So that's kind of your decision if you want to make a commitment for 24 or 36 would be his recommendation at this point. And then he'll find the company that's giving the best rate in the morning because things are changing.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Any questions? So we need a motion, a second, to approve lock. Mm-hmm.
In the past, has there been any major differences in between 24 and 36 months as far as when we redo our contract? Is this pretty typical as far as the amount that it goes up each time, or is it, have we done normal 2-year contracts or 3-year contracts? Or?
I believe we've done 2 and 3, and I don't know that last time when I was reading through the action sheets from last time, there was not much volatility. I think you're going to see that there's more now than there has been previously, so I don't know if it would be wise to lean towards a 3-year right now. No, he's telling us that he would feel comfortable with either 24 months or 36 months.
And I don't know how the gas will be affected, but I do know, like chemicals, fertilizers, and things for the farmers, the pricing on that is starting to come down quite a bit. They see that probably still coming down some, and I don't know the natural gas and stuff is going to be doing likewise. I don't know what the outlook is. I mean, the percentage difference, maybe it's best to go with a 2-year.
Yeah.
Any further questions?
So Dale, on that motion, we're going to rewrite just a little bit. Notice in the first blank there, it's going to, you're going to say 24, if that's what you're going for. But then after that, we're not going to choose a company right now. We're going to say gas pricing with the best rates
For the 24.
or most efficient rates based upon the market value on April 20. And I will email him tonight with the length of contract, and we will lock in tomorrow morning.
All right, I need a motion, a second, to approve locking in 24-month natural gas pricing with the more efficient rate based upon market value on April 20th, 2023 for Blue Ridge District 18 as presented. Rusty, Francie? Yes. First press reading.
Okay, press 111, much shorter than 110, thankfully. That's the whole entire press right there. There's not much new. You can see my notes in the top right corner. We will be looking for a second reading next month, but we have to understand that there's going to be a change. Policy committee has been made up of Chelsea and Kenna. So when we have May 1 seating, we're going to need to get policy committee updated. If we need to hold on a month, then we might need to do so. Yeah, I think we could get up to speed easily.
So what are you going to do for nightly reading now, Chelsea? Yeah, all right. Mm-hmm. All right. So moving on to MOU, Article 602.
Okay.
602.
Yes, so in the current contract, we have language that provides for up to 14 days of behind-the-wheel training prior to employment with the district payable at the driver training wage. That was a new wage that was listed in the CBA. We notated that in days. When Deborah does that training, it's impossible to get a full day of Deborah's time to do training because she's still on buses and has other duties. So when we ran into this situation, BRFT president and myself had a gentleman's agreement that we considered 14 days, or a day, to be equivalent to 6 hours. So we're just asking that we can modify that language to say up to 14 days or 84 hours of behind-the-wheel training. And we have that signed on the BRFT side already, if you would agree to also sign.
Any question? Need a motion and a second to approve the MOU with the Blue Ridge Federation of Teachers for Article 602, Transportation Paid Training Days for Blue Ridge School District 18 as presented. Rusty. Francie. Yes. Approval of summer technology position.
Okay, so technology department has a very large workload in front of them this summer. This is the summer that they need to be finishing the large network refresh project that they've been working on for some time. Even with the addition of the technology assistant position that Douglas has filled, we still had a summer position last year. The reason why it's so critical that the network refresh gets done this summer is because summer is when the licensing will be up for many things. And if we don't have everything completely done with the network refresh, we will have to double up on some licensing. And we don't want to have those double expenses. So if we have permission to hire, that would be helpful because there's the whole Chromebook process that has to be done and smart boards in addition to all of the network refresh pieces.
Motion is second to approve the addition of one summer 2023 technology worker for the Blue Ridge School District 18 as presented. So moved. Nancy.
Yes.
Yes. Schneider, paraprofessional, additional minutes.
This might not actually need board action, but I'm just kind of erring on the side of caution. In the Snyder Building, we have a student with an IEP who is requiring some additional supervision before school. Needs to have proper time in the cafeteria to get breakfast done before, so we don't miss classroom instruction time, which is what was happening. And our paraprofessionals are really bell to bell. And so in order for somebody to be there to properly supervise her upon arrival, we need to have an extra 10 minutes. I just want you to be aware of that. It'll be paid as an extra duty piece. It's not a large amount of time, obviously, but that might be something that continues into next year, maybe the year after that, until the skill set is there where that time is not needed. So I just wanted you to be aware of that.
Did the Federation feel like this needed to be approved, or was it just
That was just me wanting you to be aware.
any questions? I need a motion, a second, to approve an increase of 10 minutes of daily pay for an assigned paraprofessional as needed to meet IEP needs for the Blue Ridge School District 18 as presented. Kenna. Chelsea, yes. Yes. Approval of up to 4 K through 3rd grade and 5 4th through 8th grade teaching positions and 1 K through 3 paraprofessional position for summer school.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Schneeman. We believe that is what would be needed. That would be the maximum of what we would need to run our summer school program K through 8. And I think we are pleased that tonight in closed session we'll see we have some people that could fill those positions.
Any discussion, questions? Need a motion, a second, to approve 4 K through 3 teaching positions, 1 K through 3 paraprofessional position, and up to 5 4th through 8th grade teaching positions for summer school for Blue Ridge School District 18 presented. Francie? Rusty? Yes. And need a motion and a second to move from open session to closed session for the purpose of appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, dismissal of the specific employees of the school district, or ongoing pending or probable litigation at 8:07 p.m. Chelsea? Rusty? Yes.